Do not invest into the stock market. If you are going to invest into the stock market without any knowledge, without any self-development in investing, you are going to burn literally every cash, every penny that you will have. I have burned a lot of cash when I started my investing journey since 2009. I've lost lakhs of rupees because I didn't invest in my own self-development of what is investing all about, what is the share about, what is accounting all about. In my previous video, I have shared 6 aspects what are a must to know before you start investing into the share market. The first aspect is what I'm going to start covering from this video onwards. The first aspect is the basics of investing. Way back in 2009, 2010, my daughter came up to me and started asking me what is a share. And that is when I realized I need to start getting real. Although I knew what's a share like in terms of it's a company and things like that. But however, I needed to understand what is the process that leads to creation of a share. Of course, we all understand when we buy a share, probably we are buying ownership of the company. But what exactly it is? So the share is just a smallest unit of representation of the invested capital by the promoters of the company. So initially, say suppose I have to start my own company, I initially started up as a private limited organization. Now for starting up this private limited organization, say suppose, let's say I am the owner of Colgate Palmolive and I want to start like making toothbrushes and toothpaste for the community. So then I decide that I will put my own money to setting up Colgate Palmolive. So whatever little that cash might be, the initial amount, whatever the owners put to setting up the initial private limited organization, that is called as authorized capital. So once the private limited organization is formed by putting money initially by the promoter, that is called as authorized capital, then the promoters go ahead, buy assets of the company and start doing manufacturing and start selling the products. And once they start selling the products, they start earning profits. And once they realize that the profits are significant, they say that, okay, let me expand into the other geographies. Let me expand my brands. Let me sell more products. And then they realize that they don't have sufficient cash to expand their business. So that is when they have 2 options. One of the option is approaching the bank. And the second option is approaching the public so that they can raise capital from the public. So in today's discussion, I will talk about the second option wherein the company decides to approach the public and raise capital. So now how will the company approach the public? There's a process called as the initial public offering, IPO. You must have all heard about what it is. So the IPO is a process where the owner decides to part away with a small portion of his authorized capital. So his authorized capital is divided into sub-parts. So he decides the face value of each sub-part. That face value could be of say rupee 1, it could be of rupee 10. Accordingly, that number of parts are decided. And each of those parts is called a share. So the owner will decide saying that, I need to keep a part of the ownership. Let's say he keeps 50% of the ownership and the other 50% of the ownership he distributes to the public. Now when he is selling the share to the public, he decides a premium for every share. And why this premium is required? Because he wants to expand his business. Obviously it requires more capital than what he has initially invested. Probably 10 times, probably 100 times of what he has initially invested. So obviously every share should obviously be sold at a premium as well. So now once the premium price decided, it gets listed and then the public is approached to start buying the share. Once the public subscribes to the share capital, it is called as subscribed capital. Now once the public pays for that share, then it becomes as paid up capital. So this total number of shares, whatever the public buys, this is called as issued capital for the company. Now that we have understood what is paid up capital, issued capital and subscribed capital, let us understand it by taking one example. So let us say as an example, me as an owner, a promoter of the company, I have rupees 10,000 with me in cash and I say let me start a company, let's say a chocolate manufacturing unit. Now to start this chocolate manufacturing unit, obviously I need a space, I need certain equipments, I need a factory as well. And I am lucky enough to get this entire setup for just rupees 10,000. Kidding, obviously it will be more, but for the sake of example, let us consider it is costing totally 10,000. So now this 10,000, because I am the promoter and I have invested into starting up this chocolate factory, it becomes my private limited organization, and my invested capital of 10,000 becomes as authorized capital. So now I start manufacturing chocolates and I start putting them on a display, and customers come buy my chocolates, and after they start transacting, I earn profits. So that is when I decide that I'm making great profits. So now I decide that why not have more factories of chocolates. I go into other states or other geographies, or maybe I have one particular brand of chocolate, I expand them into further brands of chocolate. So I get that idea and I say, I just had 10,000, and just 1 year of business I'm getting just 1,000 rupees of profit. Either I approach the bank, or I say let me go public through an IPO process. I go public and I say that whatever authorized capital of 10,000 rupees which I have, I say that 10% of the ownership I keep and 90% of the ownership I distribute it to the public. So 90% of 10,000, that is like 9,000 shares. Now every share, whatever I need to raise from the public, I say that I want to sell it at a premium. So every share I decide, let me sell it for 10 rupees per share. So the total capital which I can raise is about 90,000 rupees. So now this, with 90,000 rupees, I can at the most set up 9 factories. So I go ahead with that capital and set up 9 additional factories and start 9 additional factories to start selling chocolates into the market. And with this profit, whatever the company earns is of course the promoters as well as the public's profit, because they have invested into the company. So this was an example. In my next video, let us see as a typical example of Colgate Palmolive, how do we see the total number of shares of Colgate Palmolive and what is the total worth or market capitalization of Colgate Palmolive. So that we will see in my subsequent video. See you.